Welcome to the Independent School Podcast with me, Juliette Corbett. As an executive coach and strategy advisor, I guide senior leaders in the world of education to find their strategic focus, empower their teams, and regain control over their time, helping them to go from exhausted to strategic. On this podcast, I share the ideas and tips that I've developed over the years to help the leaders that I've worked with one-to-one, so I can help you to focus on your priorities and achieve your goals with confidence and ease. And this week, we're diving into the idea of having a thinking partner. Now, all of us have beliefs, points of view about the way the world works. And one of the things that I've been really conscious about doing is making my beliefs about the world of education and the way the world works a central component of how I run my business, the kinds of things that I talk about on this podcast, the ways that I help people when I'm working with them. So I thought I'd like to share with you one of my points of view, a central belief that I have about the way the world works, and then unpack what I mean about how this relates to having a thinking partner. Okay, so here we go. You will not be surprised to hear this if you're a regular listener to the podcast, but I believe that firstly, everyone has the ability to think and act strategically. I believe that by combining this with an ever deeper knowledge of yourself, together we can unlock the happy, strategic leader within. Now, to simplify that a little bit, I did a LinkedIn post a couple of months ago, and I kind of put it on an image as an equation. And basically, what it boils down to is strategic focus plus self-knowledge equals remarkable results. So this is one of my core beliefs, my point of view about the world. And what I wanted to talk about today is why it's not easy to do this alone. It's not impossible. It's not impossible at all, but it's not easy to do this alone. And talk about why that means having a thinking partner is really helpful. So let's think about each of these components of this point of view. So I believe that everyone has the ability to think and act strategically. However, you might have heard me say before, strategy is not a game played alone. Strategy is always better when it combines some individual time to think strategically. We do need individual quiet space to think. I've often talked about how, going for a walk, being in nature, coming away from your desk is a great way to spark strategic thinking. But I've also talked a lot about how then we need to come together as teams, as groups, in order to bounce ideas off each other, strengthen our plans, get different diverse points of view so that each of us can share our thoughts about the way things might plan out or ideas we've got strategically and the way those might pan out over time. So having thinking partners is really helpful when we're thinking about how we can improve our ability to think and act strategically, because we're bouncing those ideas off others. So although part of strategic thinking is a solo game, the majority of developing an ability to think and act strategically is something done in partnership with others. The second part that I mentioned there, the deeper self-knowledge, this idea that by having a deeper knowledge of yourself, you can then unlock the happy strategic leader within. The way I often think about this is it's about a self-knowledge about the way that you're working now, and then the ability to widen our perspective about the ways that we could go about our work. And one of the phrases that I've heard others use, I'm not making this up myself, but really resonates with me is this phrase that it's hard to see the label on the jar when you're on the inside. And I love this idea that while we are the best person to know ourselves truly from the inside, actually there are things about us that other people can see more clearly. And for us, inside that jar, it's quite hard for us to read our own label. And yet to others, it can be really obvious that there are alternative ways of thinking, alternative ways of working that might just make working life a lot easier. So one of the things that I think about when I'm working with people is how can I help them to see that label on the outside of their jar more clearly? And the way that I think about doing this is that it's about sharing with each other the way the world looks to us. The way the world looks to you might be quite different to the way it looks to me. And one of the things that I've worked on quite extensively over recent years has been deepening my ability to see the world in a slightly different way to the way I used to see it, understanding that thoughts are just thoughts. They're not necessarily the truth. Understanding that each of us has a different way of going about our work, and that when we're leading a team, we need to understand those dynamics and the ways that others like to work as well. And what all of this says to me is that if we're going to develop an ever deeper knowledge of ourselves, it's really useful to have thinking partners, to have people that we bounce ideas off, people that we compare notes with on how the world looks to them, what the label on your jar looks like to other people. And then it's not that you're going to listen to what others say and prioritise that over your own thoughts and feelings, but it is that you're going to be able to unlock fresh insights, a kind of a growth mindset, a way of thinking about the world that is ever deeper, ever wider, ever more honest about the way the world works. So I think for me, yes, I believe that everyone has the ability to think and act strategically. Yes, I believe that if we combine this with an ever deeper knowledge of ourselves, we can unlock the happy strategic leader within and develop those and deliver those remarkable results. But actually, there's a key word in the way that I phrased it originally, which is together. Together, we can unlock the happy strategic leader within. And I think what's really clear to me is that all of us need thinking partners. Now, the idea of a thinking partner, actually this phrase, I first heard an American coach talk about it on a podcast that I was listening to, and it really resonated with me, because although we can call ourselves coach, consultant, we can think of ourselves as peers, as colleagues, whatever it might be, all of us are acting as thinking partners to each other. And we mean more than one thinking partner as well. I think we need to acknowledge that actually this is plural. We need thinking partners, multiple. So my reflection that I invite you to take as we wrap up our episode this week is, who are your thinking partners? Who have you sought out to be people that you can bounce ideas off, either about the strategy of the way that you're thinking and acting at work, and then beyond work, who do you seek out to be a thinking partner with to develop an ever deeper knowledge of yourself? Now, hopefully you've got people that come to mind. There might be mentors, there might be peers, there might be people at home, people who are friends, people you've known a long time, people that you've known a short time. We need a diverse group of people. But sometimes when we try to think about who are the people that I can do thinking alongside, in partnership with, and be truly honest, truly share confidential thoughts, I need someone who knows the sector quite well, who knows how independent schools work. I want someone who's going to just broaden my way of thinking. If that's what comes to mind, it might be that you would benefit from working with me on thinking together through your strategy and thinking together about how we can deepen your knowledge of the way that you work and the way you want to work going forwards. If that resonates, email me. We can jump on a quick Zoom call together and have a chat about how it might be that I could work with you as an executive coach. That's basically just another way of saying as your thinking partner. Or it might be that I'm not quite right. That's absolutely fine. But please do, as we embark on 2024, do think consciously about who you want to have as your thinking partners. What's the team you're going to put around you to make sure that you can share this journey of becoming more strategic, developing an ever deeper knowledge of yourself in order to deliver those remarkable results that I know you can in 2024. That's it for this week, but just before we wrap up, I want to mention that there was another episode that I did recently, episode 162, which was talking about why coaching works. And if you wanted to understand, just delve into a different point of view potentially about why it's helpful to have a thinking partner, then that episode might be helpful for you as well. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I always love hearing your feedback, so do reach out and let me know what you think of these episodes that I put out into the world. And don't forget that in order to deliver those remarkable results, we need to gift ourselves the space to breathe, the time to learn, and the courage to adapt. Have a strategic week, and I'll talk to you again next time. Bye-bye then.